Hello and welcome to Opening the Curtain, an interview series of artists in conversation with students. My name is Ianna Carreon, and I am a junior at Milpitas High School. Today, I am interviewing Jeffrey Lowe, who is a Bay Area playwright and the Community Partnerships Director and Casting Director at TheatreWorks Silicon Valley.
Hi, thanks for having me, Ianna.
So, my first question is, what is your job and what does that entail?
So in the intro, you listed off a number of roles that I do, and I think that as a theater artist, you'll see that sort of the game ends up being wearing many hats. But at TheatreWorks, I am the casting director and the director of community partnerships, which even that has two hats. Whereas the casting director, what I do is I work to cast the shows. Essentially, that's like the easy way to put it. But I'm really working with both the company and the directors, who are oftentimes not members of the company. They're oftentimes guest artists, in making sure that we are basically finding the best and most appropriate talent to tell the stories that we want to tell. As a director of community partnerships, which is a new role for me under our new artistic director, Tim Bond, I am working towards creating systems and programs to help create even stronger bonds between TheatreWorks and the various communities we have in the Bay Area. And really, the way we talk about it is we want to work towards making sure that our communication and our programs and our relationships with all of the various communities around us are at the very least reciprocal. And what I mean by that is, I we don't want to just do shows about, like, you and I are Filipino, right? We don't want to just do a Filipino show and just advertise to the Filipino community and make sure that they come to us. We want to make sure that when we are trying to interact with different communities, we are meeting them at the very least halfway. Like, what do you need? What is important to you? And how can we be in dialogue with that? Um, as an artist, I am a playwright and a director, and that's the funny thing is, I write plays and I direct plays, and a lot of times people don't know exactly what all of that entails, especially the directing. But the directing part of it, it's, fostering the words, it's working to create the right group of actors in the room. And for me, I really see directing as a community building and family building job, where you're really helping create an atmosphere where all the artists, be it the designers, the actors, the writers, all of the people are in an environment where they feel safe to make mistakes and also make their best choices and put together powerful shows.
Wait, can I just say that what you said about bringing a family together as a director, that's part of the reason why I love theater so much, is because
Mm.
when I first came here, I didn't have any friends because I was struggling to make friends. And then I auditioned for the fall play, and I met Miss Schwartz, and I met everybody there, and then I still consider them as great friends to this day. And it's just so amazing that theater could be this powerful to bring people together. It's just so amazing.
That's really beautiful. I mean, honestly, the way I got into theater and started to take it seriously was essentially a very similar story to yours, where I was in high school and I auditioned for a play for reasons that weren't really artistic reasons. It just, it sounded like it was going to be a good time. And then as I was, doing theater more for fun, really, and for leisure, which is totally fine, I was given a project to write and direct a play. And then as an 18-year-old kid, I really, even then, realized that, oh, like, creating this family and creating this bond and telling a story that was important to all of us, and also the representation of it. I didn't have the words for it at that time.
So my next question is, how did you get to where you are now?
The sort of big picture way to answer that is, I'm born and raised in the Bay Area. I went to school in Orange County, and when I came back after I finished undergrad, I essentially just emailed every theater company I could find on the internet, and I just, just sort of introduced myself. Some responded, some didn't. Some said they didn't have any openings, and some, asked me to come in and paint the floors or help tear down a set or distribute postcards. And any opportunity like that, when I was right out of school, I said sure, yes. And that was really my thing, where I wanted to be the one who was available to help and support any theater company. And then when I had the chance, once they saw that I wasn't a crazy person and I was really, reliable and all of that, I could say, hey, I also write and direct plays. If there's any opportunities, please allow me to help. um but really a lot of it was TheatreWorks. I did, my first job was running the soundboard for the TheatreWorks New Works Festival about 10 years ago. I just hit my 10-year anniversary at TheatreWorks.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And I while I was running the soundboard, which I kind of knew how to do, I wasn't very good at it, but I was adequate. Um, I ran into my mentor, Leslie Martinson, who was the casting director at the time. She's my predecessor as the casting director, and she was the associate artistic director as well. And I ran into her. I heard she was doing a show, and I just said, if there's any way that I can help you or assist you, like, I would really love to do that. And it was all just a lot of good fortune, because she had, I think, if I remember correctly, she had someone who was supposed to be her assistant director who, I think, got another gig and could no longer do it. So she was in need of an assistant director. I was at the right place at the right time, and really, she was the right person for me to meet. The really short answer for how did I get where I am is that I met amazing mentors, specifically Leslie, and I I I learned by watching, then I learned by doing, and I learned by having great, amazing people around me, and then I worked hard.
So my next question is, why do you love what you do?
Mm. Well, we've talked about this a little bit already during this interview, and even before we recorded, where we were talking about
Mhm.
sort of our shared heritage. But I don't know. The reason I love it is, I love being able to create community. I love telling stories. I love to I love to learn about other people, be it the other actors that I'm working with, the designers I'm working with, or the stories that we're trying to tell. And I love the opportunity to learn about stories that I think deserve to be told and put those on stage.
So, did your parents um, support you all throughout this journey?
For the most part, yeah. I think that on this curve, I keep alluding to this. So we're both Filipino. On the curve of Filipino parents, they did fairly well. But I will say, like last week, I'm pretty sure my mom was like, "Are you sure you don't want to be a nurse?"
Wait,
And
last week?
yeah, like I'll get some really, I'll be honored to get some like award or something really cool, which I've been, happy to get. And I'll be like, Mom, this cool thing happened to me. It's like, oh, I'm so proud of you. Do you want to be a nurse? I'll pay for your nursing school. And so it's one of those funny things where, they just care, especially my mom. They
Mhm.
just care. They are supportive. They are proud of me, and they understand for the most part why I do what I do. And they surpass expectations on terms of support and understanding of the arts. but
I'm glad that your parents were on this with you because I know a lot of people who still struggle to talk to their parents
mm,
about actually yeah, talk to their parents about what they actually want to do in life. And I know that right now their decisions they might regret later on in life because they're not as happy with it as they are with
mm,
theater or drawing or any other form of arts.
mm. Well, I will say, well, one, I was really fortunate that my parents kind of just trusted me in a really cool way, where they weren't like, oh, we encourage you to, write plays for a living or direct plays for a living. They never said that, but they were like, if that's what you want, if that makes you happy and you get to pay the bills, and go for it. And I will say what also helped, I think, make my parents feel more comfortable is when I went to college, I did double major. I did study both
Um,
theater and journalism. So I did, I want I'm passionate about theater, but I will also wanted to be realistic about life. So it was one of those things where if theater didn't work out for me, I wasn't gonna I would keep doing theater, but I wasn't going to not make a living. I was going to find a way. If I had to have other jobs or have other things, I was going to do it. It just
mhm.
so happened that I was very fortunate to meet, as I said, meet the right people, gain the right mentors, and have enough of a aptitude and skill for the art form to be able to make a career out of it. What was the show that you auditioned for that you were talking about?
It's called Growing to America, which is so fitting for me during that situation because it was about a bunch of immigrants who want to travel to America.
Mm,
And I auditioned as a freshman. I didn't know what I was doing, what the requirements for the audition were. I just had to say, I just had to tell a story, any story, and I decided to say the life story of my favorite Naruto character, and the next day I just see my name on the callback sheet at the theater, and I'm like, I kind of got in. So that's how everything started. So my next question is, how do you see the future of your art form?
I think the future of our art form is going to be amazing, but we have a lot of hard work ahead of us. I think it's definitely going to be a huge recovery process, like it is with the whole world. Really, small businesses, restaurants, everyone is really hurting right now, and the arts, especially the live arts, live theater, live concerts, we're probably going to be like the last thing to come back in this pandemic. And I think that that's going to be hard financially for a lot of people. There's a lot of theater artists that are unemployed right now, and it's scary and it's hard and it's really sad. But I do hope that once we get on the other end of this, that we are going to one have a flourish of creativity. I think so much art is going to come from this challenge, and I think that so many people, I think right now we're all emotionally drained, so it's hard to create right now. But once we're on the other side of this, I think that we're going to be able to reflect on this time and create some really beautiful stories. And also I really hope that live shows, seeing your friends, interacting with people, giving people hugs. I think that because this was taken away from us for so long, that we're not going to take it for granted anymore. And I hope that our audiences at theaters are going to be more full than they used to be, because I know for myself, I knew a lot of people that were doing shows, or a lot of shows I was interested in seeing, and sometimes I would miss them because I was like, I'm going to go tomorrow, or I'll go next time. I'll see your next one. And now I'm like, oh, I said that about some things in March, and there was no next time, and I still don't know when next time is going to be. So I do hope that when we're on the other side of this and people recover economically, emotionally, physically, that we can support arts organizations, and people are going to love arts organizations and appreciate them the way that they deserve. And I think that artists, when they recover, are going to create amazing, amazing work.
I have one last question.
Cool.
So what's your ultimate goal as a director and playwright, and how do you plan on achieving that goal?
But I think I sort of am trying to define success differently than I used to. And I think that for me, I just want to, if I'm able to continue to share stories from communities that need their stories told, that want their stories told in a open hearted, authentic, and beautiful way, then I'm gonna be happy. You know, I've been very fortunate in my life to be able to direct and write stories at various places, and I don't want to get ahead of myself in terms of what my ultimate goal is. And I think that for me, I'm realizing that I just appreciate what I've been able to do. So I want to keep growing and I want to keep getting better. But in terms of opportunities, I have no complaints about that. I feel like I've been very lucky.
Okay, so I wanted to, when I first started theater, I wanted to do it for a living too. But then I don't have the confidence to pursue it as a career.
Mm.
Because I love being on stage. Like when I'm on stage as a character, I'm not myself and I don't get nervous at all. It's just I'm not Ianna. I'm a different person. So nobody actually knows that. I just realized it in my head that I'm not fit for theater, although I love it very much. I just think that um I'm not gonna be I'm not gonna be above average. I'm not gonna be the best actor, playwright. Um and I just think that it was pretty sad at first, but then I'm just happy to be involved.
Well, I would say, you know, two things that sound conflicting, but I promise you they're not. The first is, if you want to keep writing and acting and doing stuff and you don't end up doing it professionally, that's totally fine. That is not unsuccessful. That doesn't make you any less an artist. I think that some of my favorite people to work with, I work with in you know, smaller theater companies, and they go to work until 6 o'clock, and then they drive to the theater and they meet up with us at rehearsal at 7 o'clock, and we rehearse from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. and we put on beautiful shows, and that's totally fine. You know, I would say defining success in the theater has nothing to do with whether or not you're doing it professionally. It has nothing to do with how much money you're spending on it. It has nothing to do with how much ticket prices cost. None of that. You know, that's just financial stuff, and that's separate from art. And I would say that even if you don't want to do theater anymore, that's totally fine, right? Like, don't get down on yourself. But if you want to keep doing it, keep doing it. And also, this is like advice also for playwriting, right? So when someone asks me for advice in playwriting, I'm not very good at giving advice on it. But the one piece of advice I'm confident in giving is, when you're writing your first draft, don't edit yourself in advance. The purpose of your first draft is to be a first draft. Don't act like the purpose of your first draft is to be the final draft. And what I mean by that is, your first draft doesn't have to be good. Your first draft has to be the first draft. And if you keep editing yourself before you finish that first draft, you're never going to finish the first draft. And eventually you're just going to discourage yourself from finishing the first draft, because you're going to think, oh, this is just not good. And the reason I'm saying this is that you're so young. You're so young, and you have so much amazing life and potential and amazing experiences ahead of you. So I would say that in terms of saying you're not cut out for writing, or you're not cut out for theater, you're not cut out for acting, or any of those things, I would say it's likely way too early for you to make that call and to know that. Don't force yourself to do anything you don't want to do, but don't talk yourself out of something you're passionate about. If it's something that you love, give it a college try.
I'll keep that in mind.
Thank you for tuning in to Opening the Curtain, Artists in Conversation with Students, a collaboration between TheatreWorks Silicon Valley and Palo Alto Unified School District as part of the Kennedy Center Partners in Education program. We will continue to explore different careers available in the performing arts throughout the school year. Please join us for the next set of videos in the series at the end of each month at theatreworks.org.